Admission of a past cheating experience. Oh, this is a juicy one.
Lydia is very dateable. She's very forgiving and she's very dateable.
This episode has a lot to do with matters of the heart because Valentine's Day is coming, as you know. And we have not one, not two, but three couples therapy trained local experts in the studio. So over on the far right of your screen, we have Wendy Yap. She is the first therapist in Singapore and only one of a few practitioners in Singapore to be a certified Gottman therapist. So she's currently a marriage and family counselor at Annabelle Psychology. So make sure that you keep your eyes and ears peeled for dating and marriage insights later. So Wendy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Okay, we also have Dr. Annabelle Chow, clinical psychologist at Annabelle Psychology. So her interests are in personality disorders and complex trauma, and she is also couples therapy trained. You might have seen her on the news and on online articles. So welcome.
Thank you.
And last but not in any way, shape or form the least, we are super happy to have Dr. Lydia Suarez with us today. So Dr. Lydia is also a clinical psychologist at Annabelle Psychology. She's an academic and researcher, couples therapy trained and originally from Spain, so that rhymes. Thank you for joining us today.
Yay.
Okay, let's go right straight into today's topic. Since psychologists have many mental and emotional tools at their disposal, does that mean psychologists are better at relationships? I wonder. Anybody has a response?
Well, psychologists, therapists, counselors, we're all humans. So I would imagine that they would also have good and not so good relationships. And, even though we have tools, it doesn't mean that all of us know how to. We can help our clients, but it doesn't mean that we automatically know how to apply it wisely in our lives, right? So I think a lot of wisdom is required.
I think like non-psychologists as well, right? We have good and bad days. So we probably have like our relationships also have ups and downs. I don't know about you girls, but then my partner has higher expectations of like, you're a psychologist, so you should know. Yeah, so I think even though we have some skills and some tools, I think depending on which good day or bad day, and depending on how our partner says what they say, we probably have a different response.
I agree with both of you. I think maybe if there's any difference, and I would say that sometimes because we talk with people and we listen to people, we are more aware of what are the problems for the people, and sometimes we are more aware of what we're doing at home in order to not make the same mistakes. So maybe if there's a difference, it's more like the awareness that we have based on practice, basically.
Yeah. I would actually agree with that. I think in some of my couple therapy sessions, I sometimes make a mental note to myself like, oh, I shouldn't do this. Like, Annabelle, please don't do this to your husband. Or like sometimes, when I finish the session, I will go to the toilet, then I'll text my husband and say, I love you.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, like,
He's
thanks
a lucky man.
I know, right? Like, thanks for being you and, thanks for doing this with me. And I think like just showing a bit of appreciation and like having that reflective moment that it could really go down south very quickly. And, in a way that we didn't expect it to. So I think like building that culture of appreciation became quite important for me. Yeah.
This sounds like words of affirmation, like one of the love languages. So could you tell me, or tell the audience, which principles and which methods actually work in your relationships or in your marriages? Could you tell me which one exactly is it that really, it works?
Of course, for me, it's the Sound Relationship House. It has to be, right? The Sound Relationship House actually is a very significant model theory that was created by the Gottman Institute. And it's based on research done by Dr. John Gottman. And his research spans over more than 40 years. And he did a lot of many studies, longitudinal studies. And the longest, the duration that he studied couples was for 20 years. So the longitudinal study was that long, for at least 20 years. So Yeah, so I'm a great believer in the sound relationship house. And my husband, he's an engineer, and he was so convinced about the Gottman research during our in Singapore we had our COVID circuit breaker. He did level 1 and level 2 on his own, and not only that, he sat for the assessments. Yeah, and so he's got a certificate of attendance.
I'm impressed.
No, right?
Was that a proud moment for you?
Yeah, super proud. Yeah, so now we have incorporated some of the components and principles because in church we teach the marriage preparation course, right? So incorporated some of the principles from the Gottman model.
Yeah.
And well, I just feel very blessed that I have a husband who so we're on the same page, right? So we both understand what it takes or what's needed to make a marriage successful, and we've been married 35 years, and yeah, it just gets better. I think it's really helpful, when we have the same language.
Yeah.
He knows that I'm turning towards him.
So
we have to accept each other's influence.
So when you're in a conflict moment, do you all like use Gottman language when you're?
Yeah, we try.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of Gottman language, could you give an example of Gottman language during an argument or a conflict?
Well, we use a lot of I statements.
Okay.
Right? So no you, no accusation, really about what I feel, what I need. Or there's a technique called gentle startup. So you kind of like say, I feel upset when I was asked to have dinner ready on the table once I get back from work, something like that. What I need is some understanding that I need a rest when I get home, or something like that. So it's more like me, how I feel, like
Like there's a rough structure to.
There's a rough structure. There are lots of interventions, so which the couples, what we try to do is to get the couples to be as independent as possible. So when they come to us, we're actually trying to give them tools so they can use it. But it's also very process based. So when you come to us, what we're giving them is learn how to express their emotions, go deeper. Right? It's not just saying, it's also feeling it and sharing about where you are. That's what we're trying to do.
Dr. Lydia, do you have any methods that work for yourself?
Yes, I was thinking more in terms of, for me, it's more about when there's a conflict in a relationship, is to take more perspective from the other side. So if you're suffering, the other person most probably is also suffering. So I think to change perspective and understand the other person's point of view, even if you don't agree with that point of view, it helps. It helps to understand why things went or went, in that direction. So for me, if you say one of the things that helps me personally is more about taking perspective and see the issue from the other person's point of view.
For me, I think probably two things I try to keep to. One is the little things often. So I try to do the little things for my husband every day, and I try to encourage him to do little things for me. So like, when my husband gets me my Clingy coffee, it's like score. Or like, even when I hang his towel properly for him, or like, there's one very sweet thing that he does for me every day is like move the car, or like pump petrol when the tank is low. And I know I'm talking about the things he does for me, but I suppose like even small things that I do for him, like, helping him kind of think about, okay, he's going to be rushing, he doesn't have breakfast, so planning for his breakfast for him, making sure to pack that all, like, making sure he's well fed, things like that, checking in during the middle of the day, how his day was. Just kind of like little small check-ins along the way. So small things, I think they add up. And then the other thing is like in a conflict situation, like trying to repair. So, like even though the repair can come in a form of like really having conversations of like taking perspectives and talking about the I feel and I need, I think sometimes I try to break out of that conflict moment by like just doing something strange or like funny, like just shaking myself, like going into a bit of a and then there's the effect.
Okay, I see.
Like he will laugh and then we're like, okay, let's reset. Like that was a very difficult conversation. Can we try this again? Let's go get ice cream.
Gottman would say that was a repair attempt,
Like a
right?
repair
So your
attempt,
husband
yeah.
accepted a repair attempt. Yeah, so the trick, or you can say the secret, is being willing to accept each other's repair attempts. So all these are Gottman, what you mentioned, you know, all these things are all under Gottman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that it's actually easier to make a repair attempt than to accept a repair attempt for myself, actually. So after I went through the Gottman training, I actually try to put to my mind, okay, well, accept it. So like sometimes the husband will be like, give me a cuddle, or then last time I'll be like, no, don't touch me. Now I'll be like, okay, let's reset. So accepting each other's influence and knowing that it was a different perspective, it was a difficult conversation, but we are a team, the same team, and then try to reset and then restart.
I see.
Yeah.
I had a question that popped up in mind while you were, while both of you were narrating your experiences. What happens if the other person just sees red? Because sometimes when a person gets too angry, like you said, they do not want to accept a repair attempt. What would be like the next best course of action?
Well, can say it?
I will keep quiet.
Well,
Everything I
if you
say
use the
also-
Gottman language, that person has flooded. Okay?
Yeah.
When a person has
Yes.
flooded, it means that the heartbeat has increased to 100 beats per minute or more. So what we try to teach our clients, and we try to be aware of it ourselves, is that when you're getting very upset, it means you're soon not going to think straight. A lot of rubbish will probably come out of your mouth. So that's the time to stop. And the research have shown that you should take at least a break of 20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, but Wendy, don't tell your husband to check his Fitbit and tell him that you're past 100 beats per minute. He will be angrier.
But then the thing is, I think it's self-awareness on, well, for my husband and I, because we're both on the same page, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know what it's about, so we kind of saying that, okay, maybe we talk about it later.
Yeah.
But we'll wait at least 20 minutes, half an hour before we re-engage again, because it's getting nowhere. So it's for me, it's also I have to recognize the signs that he may not say that he's flooded, but I can tell that it's flooded. So this is the time for me to zip my mouth
I see.
and wait for him to calm down and then re-engage later. I think keeping... Are you talking about in general or specific?
In general.
Okay. Well, I think it's staying in love, keeping the romance right through the whole
Think of
marriage.
yeah. To wheel and woe.
I mean, sometimes like when I'm maybe a cynic or whatever. So sometimes I attend weddings, right? And, when I was younger, I was going, "Oh, it's a wedding! Wow, it's time to rejoice." But now because I know the statistics, right? I hope it lasts.
I feel the same way.
I feel so it's like maintaining, being very intentional.
Yeah.
And I really want them to succeed.
Yeah. I think probably the hardest part of my marriage was when we had 2 children under 2. I think managing toddlers with busy work schedules, and basically you're just tired all the time and you have to prioritize everything else above yourself and each other. I think that was a very difficult time in my relationship. So I think there was very little energy to talk through any kind of conflict. So I think that was something that was quite difficult for me. But I've also learned that moment will pass. It's practicing a lot of like kindness. I think that was for me, that was one of the biggest elements, like for both of us to remind each other that this is a passing moment. It's a very difficult moment, but we are in it together and we try to be kind to each other and it will pass.
Yeah.
It has passed.
Once the children have gone a bit older.
Oh, but sometimes and often it doesn't happen, right? For
Yes.
most couples. So you start to take each other for granted. Like you're married, you don't really have to go on dates,
Yeah.
right? Or the kids go to sleep. That's my time. I can do gaming.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
you watch your Korean drama and I do my games or something like that.
So you're right. So actually now I also try to practice the Magic 5. Wow, so hard. My goodness. So the Magic 5 is like 5 hours a week, right? So that you want to try to spend with your partner, and you can spend it like in small blocks, or you can kind of like in bigger blocks, things like that. So it can be like waking up, every morning and then giving each other a kiss, be intentional about that. Or it can be like a date night. Oh, so difficult to date night with little kids. So date breakfast or date lunch or, like calling in to check in. So like the magic 5, I did find that to be quite important.
Well, so for me, from my marriage, what I've learned is it's important to have fun and to have a culture of appreciation. I think you mentioned that just now. So for us, we celebrate our anniversary every quarter now.
All the husbands and partners, are you listening to this? 35 years,
It used to be, we used to do what everybody did or they still do, which is celebrate like anniversary dinner once a year. Then on our 20th year, we started to celebrate twice a year, so every 6 months, because I thought budget constraint, right? But we realized that life is short. We need to have fun, so we actually do staycation, vacations, kind of thing, So it depends on how much you can afford. But basically, the idea is to celebrate your relationship every 3 months, right? And then we take turns. So we take turns to plan, but he's more creative and he gives me lovely surprises. So there was one time when he brought me to Bali. And I thought I was going to Sentosa. There was one time also he brought me to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And it was winter. He forgot to tell me to bring warm things. So fortunately it wasn't too cold. Yeah, but stuff like that. So we sort of got quite a lot of sweet moments. And for our 20th wedding anniversary, he surprised me by privately renewing our vows just between us.
Oh.
Yeah, and then he upgraded our wedding rings as well from the original gold to platinum. Yeah, and then he even gave me a piece of paper to write a message to him, and then he had one for himself, and then so we wrote to each other, and then he bought a card that would fit both the pieces of paper. And then during dinner, we read the messages to each other.
So romantic.
Yeah, and then we pasted, stuff like that. So these are all his creative ideas. And
Wow.
and
Maybe
I
the secret to 35 years marriage is to find a romantic husband.
yeah, but then if you look at my husband, he doesn't look it. He's an engineer, and quite and all that kind of thing. But I think the important thing is to have a culture of appreciation. So whatever your husband does for you, I think we need to just be very thankful, and even if you don't quite like something, you must appreciate the effort.
The thought process behind it.
Yeah, and then you get more.
Yes, because everyone likes to be positively reinforced.
Correct, absolutely
Positive
right.
reinforcement.
But even as you're saying this, I'm thinking, because I actually do try to do something quite similar at a smaller scale. So I'll actually look at our calendars 3 months in advance, and then I'll block a breakfast or lunch. So this will be like a roti prata breakfast, or this will be a lunch where we go to our restaurant, a very familiar one that we like and we go often, and there's some rules about it, no work conversations, no children conversations. We can talk about holidays we want to go for, right? Talk about our hopes and dreams about the future, but no stressful conversations, right? And even if it's just usually 1.5 hours, 1 hour, I do feel even in that moment, reconnecting by holding hands or spending time together was quite an important element for me.
I think that's a very good idea. So another idea that we had, because I said that sometimes we had young kids, so we also quite conscious of budget, right? So we had hawker center date.
Yeah.
So what we did was he would look for the first course, so we go around hunting for starter in the food court, then he'll come back and we'll share. Then I'll go for the next course, then we'll come back and share. So we had kind of fine dining kind of idea, but in the hawker center, right? So each time we have no idea what the other person's going to buy. So it's kind of it's a surprise, element of surprise, and you try to.
So what happens when he orders something that you don't like?
No, but then
it's nice.
you eat less. But at least you appreciate that he's trying to get something that the both of you will enjoy. Something you get it wrong, but it's okay.
How about yourself? What do you think the hardest part of a relationship is?
I think it's what you all said. It's about maintaining the relationship. But when you asked that question, for me, it was more about how you make the shared meaning of life. So I think when you are thinking what are the person's values, how you support, the other person's values and vice versa. So that is hard because sometimes people change, and how you support those. People change sometimes. I thought I would do this in my life, but now I want to do something else or live somewhere else. How you do that, and I think that is hard. How you combine, how you make meaning, how you put it together and have the same direction.
Cool. We have one last question before we go to our game. Okay, do you think psychologists and therapists are actually good husband and wife material?
Of course.
I would say potentially. Because we are supposed to know theoretically, but like I said at the beginning, it takes a lot of wisdom. So realistically, it's hard to see.
I was thinking you might want to have a poll to ask all the psychologists.
Comment.
Because I am very sure there are psychologists and marital therapists who have divorced. Because it's like
everyone.
It's like they're humans, So sometimes they just don't really. They have issues as well.
Viewers, comment down below whether you think psychologists or therapists make good husband or wife material. Okay, so let's go to our next segment, and I'm quite excited to play this segment. It's actually a game called Red Flag, Green Flag. So this is how we're going to play this game. Each judge or each expert will get one red flag and one green flag each. 11 ambiguous signs and or personality traits will be read out. This will be in the context of a first date scenario. So judges will decide if the sign that I've read out is red, green, or actually nothing. And she would actually raise the appropriate flag or none and briefly explain why it's a green, it's a red, or it's a nothing flag. And I'm quite excited to play this game because I think some people in the studio also want to know whether certain signs and personality traits are actually red flags or green flags. And I'm sure viewers and listeners, you want to know, so let's get started. Okay, experts, with your flags, please tell me if the next sign is a red flag, a green flag, or a nothing flag on a first date. Number 1, talkativeness. Oh, you have a nothing flag.
I have a nothing flag.
Oh, why is talkativeness a nothing flag?
Because I need to know more information, like talkativeness, what is the person talking about? Is the person talking just about himself? Does he listen at all? So on. I need to know more information.
Oh, Dr. Annabelle, why is talkativeness a red flag?
I think I'm very talkative. So if my partner is also very talkative, right? Nobody's listening.
Okay. So it depends on the person.
Yeah, I think it's compatibility. I dated someone who's very talkative. It annoyed me. It's like, I want to say something too, but I cannot get anything in. So I was like, okay, I know this is not very compatible with me. So
Why is that green flag?
I said green because imagine you go to the first meeting and nobody talks. It would be terrible. If he doesn't talk, there's nothing new, it feels very uncomfortable. If the person talks a lot, also it will depend on what he's talking about, but also whether you want to go next time with him.
yeah.
I don't have a problem there because I can talk. So, so there will not be silence.
Okay, so it also depends on
But I
whether
want
you
to
can
know
talk.
what that person is talking. So I can handle a talkative person, but he needs to be able to listen too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I need to know whether he's talkative and can listen, or he's just talkative.
Yeah. So if he's just talkative
And he
is it
doesn't listen, it's all about himself, then it's
Then it's a no.
Right.
I mean, there's more than talkative, it's like self-absorbed.
Yeah.
Then no.
That will be red flag.
That'll be red.
Understandable. Okay, let's go on to our next sign. Our next sign is straightforward.
Green.
No, still a nothing flag.
Context very important to me. Straightforwardness about what?
About
right?
everything.
So you talk about bluntness, like lack of tact, no social graces, then of course that's red. But if it's honesty, saying what he means, what he feels, then it's a green.
Yeah.
So context.
Okay. Yeah, I interpret it to be.
I also.
Yeah, To be honest, straightforward,
Okay,
transparent, and
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's go on to our next one. Discussing life goals on the first date. And these are like very lofty goals.
I'm very positive for green. I'm very dateable.
yes, you are.
I said yes because you want to know that person. So you want to know whether the goals of the other person match your goals, and you want to see whether this can go somewhere.
I don't know, man. I'm just thinking about what I want to order and what he's going to order and put on the table. I haven't even get through the first course. I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about life goals. And is it his life goals or like our life goals? And I'm like, I'm not sure there's an hour yet, on the first date. Let's see what he puts on the table first.
Okay.
It can be a deterrence. So it's very hard for me to say, because actually my husband, I met my husband overseas, and actually my plan was to live in that country, because I had permanent residence in that country, and I thought then when I went out on our first date and he said that he's a Singapore scholar, so he went, no, I want to go back to Singapore to serve our country, and I went, no, I don't think he's the right one.
The same I
same
wouldn't
as
have
you.
lived here.
I know, but anyway,
cheated to come back.
so anyway, I in the end I came back because so the first date that whatever he said, it didn't quite count lah. So it's hard for me to know, but because what I say and what I did was different.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, so similar. Me and my husband, we met overseas, and then I was going to stay there, and then he's like, oh, how about just 2 years? We'll come back to Singapore for 2 years, and we'll go back. And I'm like, okay, I can do 2 years. Oh my God, it's like more than 10 years I'm still here. Never believe what the guy or the girl says on the first date.
Yeah, that's why very hard to don't know which flag to raise.
Okay, I see. Because maybe you're never truly ourselves.
You ask difficult questions.
Okay. Maybe we're never truly ourselves on the first date. So perhaps.
Yeah.
Not. Okay, the next sign would be not having any social media accounts. Is this a red flag or a green flag in the digital age? Experts, please.
Not having her.
No Facebook, no social media at all. Okay.
No thanks.
It's nice to have a diversity of opinions on this show.
I don't know. I will find in this time very strange.
Okay.
I would want to know why, and then whether there's some kind of what is the thought process. And I mean, I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Have or not have, but it will be strange. I will be so strange that I will be curious.
I will be okay because I think that maintains a bit of mystery about a person, and I kind of like a little bit of mystery about the person. But I probably want to find out a little bit more about whether this person actually has secret accounts that he's not telling me about. Yeah, but I'll be okay to have another date. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to know why he doesn't have any social media accounts, and I want to understand what he means by social media account, because everything's online now, right? When he says no social media, and it's not just Facebook and Instagram, there's a lot of other things. So I want to find out the definitions. Totally know that, I want to know why. But if he doesn't have one because of his job or because he's protecting somebody, right? Or he thinks it's not wise, then I think I should listen rather than just judge just because he's got no social media. But I must admit that I have a lot of social media accounts. So it'll be quite boring for me to date a man with no social media accounts.
Then everybody will go and like secretly search all the combination of the name and stalk and see if he's honest, he's straightforward, or he was lying. His secret accounts.
Yeah, I always want to know why, rather than say that you judge straight away.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to raise your flag. So sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, don't judge. All right. The next sign: being a mama's boy or girl. Da-da-da. Oh wow!
That was an easy question.
It was an easy one. It's all red. Why is it a red flag?
You want somebody independent, and that the decisions he or she makes are independent from the
Mama.
parents. Yeah.
All right.
So I think that's, for me, a sign of growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I value a guy who thinks. So I'm okay with like taking opinions, like mom's opinions and stuff, but I need a guy who will make his own decision. Like he thinks about it. So yeah, the not thinking part and just taking it full on. Because then that will suggest that in other areas he might not think about things and might just take on the advice of persons of authority. Then I'll be a bit concerned about that.
I will also be concerned if his number one is always mummy, right? And then if let's say the relationship progress to something serious, would his partner be number one?
Yeah, then you'll be dating the mummy, not dating him,
Yeah,
right?
and then it won't be a team, right? It won't be you and him, right? It'll be you, him, and mummy, right?
It's a team.
Mummy, a different kind of team. Doesn't quite work for me. Maybe it'll work for some people, but not for me.
Yeah.
So mummy is like the third party if he or she.
Mummy will be important, not to say mummies are not important, but I think that the influence must, you must be able to influence each other, not have a third party
That's
have
why
a
it's-
stronger influence.
Correct. That's why it's called a couple, not a triple.
Correct, absolutely. That's
Three's
what-
a crowd.
Yeah.
She's got a point. Okay, next sign. 0 past long-term relationships. Oh,
Okay. I don't know.
I think we are all the same. We don't know.
We're supposed to, I want to find out why. I don't know.
okay.
I think to me more green than red. If it's 0, he has no STDs.
I think it depends on the age lah, right? The age where you start dating.
but-
long term, but maybe a lot
Yeah.
of short terms.
No, but if he's a middle-aged guy, 40, 50 years old, never
Show
had
me a health
at all. No.
You never had
I don't
any
know. So I mean,
relationship.
it's hard to say. But if it's if let's say I was that young and if it's never had, then okay, I'm the first girlfriend. I'm okay. with
Hey,
it.
but do you know it's actually very brutal in dating now? Like when people are like swiping, my patients have said that they just don't want to waste time. They will actually ask for like a health report. Like, show me your bill of health. See, I see nodding heads there. Like, show me your bill of health and then we will talk about it. Yeah, so they actually jump straight into talking about finances. They jump straight to talk about health. Yeah, they do. They
So
do.
efficient.
Yeah,
But I think it's
changed.
practical. I mean, if you, in that area lah,
Yeah.
it's scary.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it depends on the age that you start dating
I see.
as
Yeah.
well.
Did someone in the studio nod their head just now?
Yes,
Yes.
So that means you really are that efficient on, not you, you. So you really are that efficient on dating apps.
The current generation.
Oh, the current generation does that. Okay, so that means your friends do that. Okay.
But not you, right?
Interesting. Okay, let's go to the next one. Not having many friends. So let's just say 1 or 2 friends. Is that a red
Yeah,
or
it's
green?
okay.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
1 or 2 friends. Must have friends.
Must have friends.
If no friends, then that's
Only
1 or
mommy.
2 is okay.
It's
Why is having no friends a red flag?
I don't want me to be the only friend. And I think the pressure's too great, and I'm his everything. Right? I think it makes it become very insular. I think it should be the two of us blessing, enjoying each other, kind of thing, and also being able to have a community of people that we can enjoy life with, lah. Yeah, if not, life gets a bit boring, right?
Let's go on to the next sign. Admission of a past cheating experience. Oh, this is a juicy one.
Lydia is very dateable. She's very forgiving and she's very dateable.
Yeah, I know why.
I think everybody, you have to see the person for what they are, and the person is telling you the truth, and I think that is important. Is telling you, I did something, and let's see what he has to say or she has to say about that. You know, what were the circumstances? Are you regretful or not? Is something that you plan to do with me? And then I know.
Oh, that's a very important question to ask. Like, do you plan to do that with me? Oh, okay.
I don't want to try. I don't want to get my heart broken.
And also you're looking for a partner, right? I mean, you have so many to choose from. So why do you choose one that can potentially make you feel insecure?
Like I don't mind. I will honor and respect the courage in sharing something that probably is very difficult for him to share, and like admitting and learning from it. But unless I don't know, unless he's so attractive in so many other ways that I would try to consider. I think I would want to protect my heart.
Me too. I think for me, security is very, very important.
But it's something that he or she did in the past. It's different.
And then maybe like depends on how many, right?
Because here you're assuming that the person will do it again. I don't know.
I think it takes time to win my trust, right? So I cannot like based on this say straight away I can trust that person. I must want to continue to get to know that person, and then assess later whether or not I really can trust that person. So the confession alone will not just make it okay.
Because actually, like not confessing doesn't mean he has not done it before, right? And then even if he didn't do it before, it doesn't mean he will not do it
later. That's why I'm thinking like you need. I don't think. I think.
Okay, so maybe I'll put two flags.
We are all susceptible of doing things that we regret or not.
Yeah.
And it's okay if the person doesn't regret, but at least you know.
Okay, I know. I'm gonna change my response. I think I'll be green flag depending on how he talks about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if he's proud about it, then it's a red flag. Right, but if he's humble and he's like very earnest about it, then okay, we can talk about it.
I don't know. I think I'm more cautious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not like we have options anymore, so we've chosen.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the next sign. Clingy. So we have a codependent.
Clingy.
Oh, why are codependent people a red flag?
I think it's the same reason, right? Also
Just
like mummy's boy or
I
whatever,
think it's
right?
the same along the lines, right? You want some independence. You want to have a life that goes together, but is not meshed.
I think a good relationship is made up of two healthy individuals, right? So if he cannot be healthy on his own and is depending on me to make him healthy, then to me that's a problem. I always say you're responsible for your own happiness, right? So always, even people make me upset, I will say nobody has the right to take away a single day of my life by making me miserable. If it's your issue, it's your issue. If I'm responsible for it, then I'll apologize and we'll try to repair and get on with it. But I think that you are responsible for yourself. Yeah.
I suppose for me, like it's a broad sense of no, but I think a consideration would be whether he's aware of it and whether he's working on it. Right? So like if he's going through therapy, if he's very aware of it and he's trying to build his own social networks or community because he came from like a very difficult past or very like basically an unhealthy environment, I will actually be a bit more forgiving about that because there's effort in like awareness and effort to make a change. Then I think I might give it a chance while kind of putting it out there what my boundaries are and what I need. But the effort on whether they work on it is important to me.
And said that, I also would like to say that sometimes in a relationship, sometimes you are more needy, or one person is more needy than the other, and things change sometimes, and a couple is to support each other. So I think it's fine, but it's when it's extreme is the problem. When the other person is the caregiver, like has to take care of the other person, then it becomes a burden and it becomes
you feel stifled.
and it become. So it's more finding that balance where it's okay to be needy sometimes, and it's okay to take care of someone sometimes, but it has to be healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the idea is, codependency is all right. I mean, in most situations, I suppose, but you have to be a healthy individual, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I'm gonna change number 10. I'm gonna change it to, okay, on the first date, if the date talks about that they are going to therapy, is that a red flag or a green flag?
Hey, you're
Because
asking psychologists.
Yes, that's the whole idea. Yeah, but you know, some people might think it's a red flag, but I understand that, you know, if you go to therapy, that means you're working on the issues.
Yeah, is imagine somebody who has a medical problem and he says to you, I'm going to the doctor to fix, I don't know, my bronchitis, and you say, oh my God, no. Right? You wouldn't do that. So I think it's the same with mental health. It's a person who is looking to get better or in any sense. So I think it's good. It's good.
But sometimes, it doesn't mean that they have a diagnosis. It can be really just wanting to improve themselves, be better versions of themselves, understand themselves a bit better, process a bit of the childhood trauma that they experience, which is really out of their control. But they have the awareness that the trauma has had an impact on them. I will totally be
supportive.
Supportive.
I agree. And who does not have issues?
Yeah.
Right, so
Absolutely.
everybody has. So it's whether or not you just want to work and be aware that there are maybe not a lot sometimes, like even one or two. It's still good enough. It's good to be able to process it, right? I don't know. I would commend that person for going. Actually,
If you're going through therapy, encourage, support. Okay, last but certainly not the least, the next sign would be competitiveness.
competitive.
Is that a red or green flag on the first date?
Competitive with you or with
In life in general, in many aspects. So there's always a possibility that the person would be competitive with you as well. Is that a red or green flag?
I think it depends. If that person wants to be competitive, want to be the best husband, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then that's fine. That'd be absolute green.
Hey, that's a good one. I'm going to go home and ask my husband, can you compete to be the best husband?
Yeah. Then
Best
I want him to
husband
be the
award.
most. The one
Bali
who,
trip, please.
the one who puts me first. One will be the husband that always puts the wives first. Why not?
Okay. How about yourself?
I don't know. I think sometimes when you're young, you think, somebody who is competitive, it means that it wants, things in life. And I think when you grow older, you notice that it's not so healthy necessarily, because it's what they put in a relationship. If this is only the goal, a personal goal of being, on the top of everything and neglects you, then what is the point? So I think, it's not. I don't think it's the most
So it's
important
what
thing.
is he competitive about,
About.
and for what?
And for what?
I think healthy competition can be fun,
Yeah.
right? Like healthy competition within a couple, who can get to the top of the hill faster, right? Who can like kill this game faster. Like I think it injects a bit of fun in the relationship. I suppose when I think about competitiveness, I think a bit more about like drive. Whether this person has drive, like whether this person is passionate about his work, he cares enough, or like passionate about like climbing to the top of the hill with me and see who is faster. I like this kind of cheap thrill. So I think competitiveness in that sense can be quite fun.
Yeah. That's why I think need to see.
We had a competition. I'll share this actually. I had a competition with my husband about who will save the most $5 notes in a year.
Okay. Who won?
I forgot about the competition.
Is that the $5 note still around?
So he remembered, and I was like, wow, I'm impressed. So at the end of the year, he took out an envelope of like $5 notes, and he's like, where's yours? Then I'm like, where's my what? And then he's like, I thought we were supposed to collect $5 notes and see who collected more. I'm like, oh, I didn't use cash. I used credit card. I forgot about it. Yeah, so like this kind of competition, I think it's quite fun. Like injects a bit of like humor, fun, like creativity in the relationship. So we restarted again this year, and it's already like almost February, and I still don't have a single $5 note in my wallet.
Okay, nice. So we've certainly learned a lot of amazing insights from all three experts today. Many thanks to Wendy, Dr. Annabelle Chow, and Dr. Lisa Suarez for coming over and sharing their valuable insights with us today. And to our viewers and listeners, thank you for tuning in to our first podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
So comment on whether you've used any psychology methods on your dates or relationships. Please just type it in. And like, share, subscribe to us for more juicy psychology insights. Bye bye.